things. Next Sunday we won't have Gita class because we are celebrating Guru Puja Day. So, but you should be able to watch the whole program on Zoom and Facebook Live also. Okay? And if you're in town, I would like you to come. It's between 10 and 1, and after that lunch. And then starting from August, first Sunday of August, we are going to have this Gita class at the ashram in person too. So again, we will keep it on Zoom also for the people who live in different towns and people who cannot come to the ashram for some reason. So we'll do it in person and on Zoom. But Gita will continue. All right, let's start with the Gita Dhyanam. Om Parthaye Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayan Swayam Vyasen Grathitam Puran Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritvarshiniim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayane Amutvam Anusandhame Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshine Namo Astu Te Vyas Vishal Buddhe Ful Arvind Ayat Patra Netar येन तव्या भारत तैल पूर्णः प्रज्वलितो ज्ञानमय प्रदीपः प्रपान्न पारी जाताये तोत्र वेत्र एक पानये ज्ञान मुद्राये कृष्णाय गीता अमृत दुहे नमः सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपाल नंदना पार्थो वत्सा सुधीर भोक्ता दुग्धम गीता अमृतम महत् वसुदेव सुतम देवम कंस चानूरमर्दनम देवकी परमानंदम कृष्णम वंदे जगद्गुरुम भीष्म द्रोण तटा जयद्रथ जला गांधार नीलोत्पला शल्य ग्राहवती कृपेन वहने कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थाम विकर्ण घोर मकरा दुर्योधन अवर्तने सोतीर्णा खलु पांडवै रन्नदी के वर्तका केशव पाराशर्य वत्सरोजमलम गीता अर्थ गंधोटकम नानाख्यानक केसरम हरि कथा संबोधन अबोधितम लोके सज्जन षटपदे रह रह पे पिए मान मुदा भूयाद भारत पंकजम कलिमल प्रध्वंसी न श्रेयसे मूकम करोति वाचालम पंगुम लंघ्यते गिरिम यत्कृपातमं वंदे परमानंद माधवम यम ब्रह्म वरुण इंद्र रुद्र मर्ता स्तन्वन्ति दिव्य स्तवे वेदे सांग पद क्रमोपनिषदे गायन्ति यम सामका ध्यानवस्थित ततेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यम योगिनो यस्यन्तं न विदुसुर असुर गना देवाय तस्मै नमः. Okay. We are on chapter 1, Vishad Yoga, and we ended our class with the verse number 31 last week. And we saw how the scene started with Duryodhan going to his Acharya, giving some very powerful statements. Then after that, we saw how Arjun asked Lord Krishna, his charioteer, to bring the chariot in the middle of the two armies. And then when he saw both sides, the relatives, the brothers, the cousins, the grandfather, and fathers-in-law, all the relatives and all the friends standing there, ready to fight. Then he started talking to Lord Krishna. He is making arguments against fighting in this war. So in verse number 31, he says, I see adverse omens, O Keshav. Nor do I see any good in killing my kinsmen in battle. Nimittani ch pashyami vipritani Keshav. Na ch shreya anupashyami hatva swajnam ahave. That's where we ended our last week's class. He says there's no good. And Lord Krishna is still silent. In fact, silently smiling and listening. So let's see from verse number 32, what is Arjun saying? न कांक्षे विजयम कृष्ण न च राज्यम सुखानि च किम न राज्येन गोविंद किम भोगे जीवितेन वा. No means na kankshte. Kankshe means desire, like akanksha. Vijayam, victory. Krishna. Na is not, cha means and, rajyam, kingdom. Sukhani, pleasures. Cha means and. Kim means what? Na, to us. Rajyen, by kingdom. Govind. That is another name for Lord Krishna. Kim means what? Bhogai, by pleasures. Jivitain, life itself. Va means or. So Arjun is saying, I do not desire victory, O Krishna, nor kingdom, nor pleasures. Of what avail is dominion to us, O Govind? Of what avail are pleasures or even life itself? Then in the next verse he says, Ye sham arthe kankshitam na rajyam bhoga sukhani cha te ime avasthita yuddhe pranan tyaktva dhanani cha. Ye sham, of whose, arthe, sake, kankshitam, desired, no means by us, rajyam, kingdom, bhogaha, enjoyment, sukhani, pleasures, ja means and. Te means they, ime, these, avasthita, standing, stationed, avasthita, yuddhe, in the battle, pranan, life, tyaktava, having abandoned, dhanani means wealth, ja means and. They for whose sake we desire kingdom, enjoyment and pleasures, stand here in battle, having renounced life and wealth. You can judge the state of mind of Arjuna over there. He's definitely disturbed. He shows in his words, he's showing the indifference to worldly possessions and material prosperity. Definitely it's praiseworthy. These are called spiritual virtues. But Arjun is not experiencing spiritual sentiments because virtuous sentiments bring internal harmony, satisfaction, connection with the soul, with the super soul, when we have real virtuous sentiments. But we know that Arjun's compassion was of the different kind. It was not from the virtuous sentiments. Only the words are like that. Because his experience, mental experience, is the contrary to these feelings. There was a definite discord between the mind and the intellect, dissatisfaction and unhappiness within, lot of disturbance. So the effect of the sentiment upon him indicates that his compassion was a stemming out of delusion. Okay, so it was not a spiritual feeling in him. Then he says, continuing his arguments over here, Acharyaha pitraha putraha tatha eva cha pitamaha matula shvashura potra shyala sabandina tatha. Acharya, teachers, pitra, fathers, Putra, sons. Tatha means also. Ev means even. Cha means and. Pitamaha, grandfather. Matula, maternal uncles. Shwashura, father-in-law. Potra, grandsons. Shyala, brothers-in-law. Sambandhina, relatives. Tatha, as well as. So he says teachers, fathers, sons, and also grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and other relatives. They are all standing there, ready to fight. So Arjun is continuing his argument to Lord Krishna against waging this war. Because he says these are the relatives standing here. So Arjun is actually manufacturing a case for himself, justifying his cowardly retreat from the post of duty. He's hoping, he keeps on repeating himself. Whatever he said earlier, he's repeating. He's just hoping that his friend, his charioteer, will agree with him. So it's almost like he wants a moral sport of his friend and charioteer to come to the conclusion what he is feeling in his own mind. He wants him to accept his emotions. But he doesn't see the endorsement and the intellectual sanction coming from Lord Krishna. Either from his look or even the words from him. Because sometimes a person doesn't say anything from the mouth, but still you can see a body language or the eyes. So he doesn't see that at all. So that's why he continues with his arguments further. He says, Etan na hantum ichami dhanataha api madhusudana api triloke rajasya hetu kimna mehi krite. Etan means these. Na means not. Hantum, to kill. Ichami, I wish. Ghanataha api, even if killed. That means even if I get killed by them. He's going to that extreme. Just look at Arjun, the greatest of the warrior, is saying, even if they kill me, I'm just standing there. Madhusudan, that is for Lord Krishna. Api means even. Triloke Rajasya, dominion over the three worlds. Heto, for the sake of. Kim means how. Nu means then. Mehi krite, for the sake of the earth. He says, these I do not wish to kill. Because they are acharya, they are sons, they are relatives. These I do not wish to kill, though they kill me. O Madhusudan, even for the sake of dominion over the three worlds, how much less for the sake of the earth? He says it's not worth it. Even for the, if I get a kingdom of the three worlds, still I will not kill them. He is feeling that he has not expressed his case strongly enough to Krishna. So that's why he's using these words over here. He's assuming that maybe I'll get my friends, my charioteers' acceptance here. So that's why this is almost a mock spirit of renunciation. It's not a real renunciation, it's a mock. And he's declaring this kind of a sentiment over here. That he has such a large-heartedness in him that he would not kill his cousins even if they would kill him. And it's really a climax when you see that when he's declaring that he will not even fight for the dominion over the three worlds of the universe. He uses this api word twice in this verse number 35. Api. Api means even though. Why should they wish to kill me even though I am their relative and well-wisher? Why would they kill me? Then he says, secondly, he says, even though they may desire to kill me, why should I wish to kill them? Okay, so even though. निहत्ये धार्त राष्ट्रान न का प्रीति स्यात् जनार्दन पापम एव आश्रयेत अस्मान हत्वा एतान आत तायना. Nihatye, having slain. Dhartarashtran, sons of Dhritarashtra, the blind king. Na means to us, ka means what? Preeti, pleasures. Sayat, maybe. Janardhan, that is for Lord Krishna. There was a demon by the name of Jana. So he was the destroyer of the demon named Jana, Janardhan. Papam, sin, ev means only ashrayet, will accrue. Like it will be our gain. Asman, to us. Hatva, having killed. Etan, these. At tayina. At tayin means a felon or an evil doer. Killing the sons of Dhritarashtra, what pleasure can be ours? O Janardhan. Sin alone will be our gain by killing these felons. Okay, so he's making a very strong argument, even though it's not the right argument. I'm sure he knew who is a Atatai. When you kill an Atatai in the war as a warrior, it's not a sin. So Atataina means a felon who deserved to be killed according to the Arthashastra. And he was well versed in the Arthashastras. Those who have done 6 kinds of crimes towards others are called Atatai. What are those? Number 1, according to the Arthashastra, if somebody has set fire to the house of another person, that's a Atatai. If somebody has poisoned somebody, that's a Atatai. If somebody has taken a sword in a hand and tried to kill or killed and murdered the person, that's a Atatai. Somebody has stolen your wealth, that's a Atatai. Somebody has stolen your land, that's a Atatai. And if somebody has insulted or taken your wife, that's a Atatai. Very clear description of these evil deeds in the given. So we all know from Mahabharata story, Kaurav brothers had committed all these felonies upon the Pandavas. So they deserve to be killed in the war. But Arjun says here that according to Dharma Shastra, non-killing is the, I cannot kill them. I'll accrue sin if I kill them. See, on one hand, sure, ahimsa paramo dharma. Non-violence is the best policy. But that's only part of the statement. The second part of the statement is dharma hinsa tathaivacha. So is violence to protect dharma. Often we just recite only the part of the statement and we don't even know the rest of the statement. It's our duty to protect the dharma and duty to do what needs to be done at that particular hour. So ahimsa parmo dharma, dharma hinsa tathaiva. Remember that. So this is what Lord Krishna is teaching over here, or going to teach in Bhagavad Gita. And the sin is only a mistake committed by a misunderstood individual ego against its own divine nature as the eternal soul. When we forget who we are, that's a sin. So it looks like Arjun objected over here to kill in this war. He misinterpreted the sacred texts and he is ready to run away from his duty. That's why Lord Krishna refuses to show any sign either of appreciation or criticism of Arjun's stand. Because he understood, Lord Krishna understood that his friend is raving hysterically. And the best policy is just let him rave. It's like a mental patient goes to the psychiatrist. Psychiatrist will let that patient talk. Bring out everything from his mind, exhaust himself. That's exactly what is happening over here. Okay, so do not read from here that Lord Krishna is for hinsa. No. The scriptures, they do say very clearly, Ma hinsyat sarv bhutani. Do not kill any living being. That is a fundamental of Vedic teachings. So he's not asking him to kill them. He's asking him to protect the dharma. Because a Sanatan dharma rests upon a triple foundation of truthfulness, non-violence, and self-restraint. Okay? So keep that in mind also. So as we go along, we'll try to see how Lord Krishna is going to clarify all this for us and for Arjuna also. So now Arjuna is still speaking. Tasmat na arhaha vayam hantum dharth rashtran swa bandhavan swajnam hi katham hatva sukhina syam madhav. Tasmat, therefore, na, not, arhaha, justified, vayam, we. See, like a aham is I, vayam is we. That's a plural. Hantum, to kill. Dharth Rashtran, the sons of Dhritarashtra. Swa Bandhavan, our own relatives. So Arjuna is saying all this still. Swajnam, kinsmen. He means indeed, Katham, how, Hatva, having killed. Sukhinaha, happy. Syam, may be. Madhav, for Lord Krishna. So Arjuna is saying, therefore we shall not kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, our relatives. For how can we be happy by killing our own people, O Madhav? So in his mind, he is very logical and he is concluding his logical arguments which have got a false look of Hindu scriptural sanction. So in this verse, Arjun is coming to the dangerous conclusion that he should not kill the aggressors nor face their heartless challenge, even though Krishna is silent. And in the second line over here, Swajnam hi katham hatva sukhina syam madhav, he is making a personal appeal to Krishna and almost begging him to think for himself and endorse him for this lunatic conclusion. But Lord Krishna is still silent. यद्यपि एते न पश्यन्ति लोभ उपहृत चेतसा कुलक्ष्ये कृतं दोषम मित्रद्रोहे च पातकम. Yadyapi, though, ete, these, na means not pashyanti, see, lobh uphat chetasa, with intelligence overpowered by greed. Lobh is the greed. Kul kshay kritam, the destruction of families. Dosham, evil. Mitra drohe, cruelty to friends. Cha means and, pathakam, sin. Though these, with their intelligence clouded by greed, see no evil in the destruction of the families in the society, and no sin in their cruelty to friends. So what he is saying that these Kauravas, they have grown blind in their greed for power and wealth. They don't see the destruction in the society or the societal structure. Their ambition has so completely clouded their intelligence. Their sensibility is gone because cruelty and the greed has taken over. So continuation of this in 38. Katham na gyeyam asmabhi papat asman nivartitum kulakshay kritam dosham parpashyadhi janardhan. Katham, why? No means not. Gyeyam should be learnt. Asmabhi, by us. Papat, from sin. Asman, this. Nivartitum, to abstain, to turn away. Kulakshay kritam, in the destruction of a family. Dosham, evil. Prapashyadhi, clearly saying Janardhan, for Lord Krishna. So Arjun is saying, why should not we? In the previous verse, he says, they don't see it out of the greed, out of hypocrisy. But why should not we, who clearly see evil in this destruction of family units, learn to turn away from this sin, O Janardhan? They don't know, but we know better. If they want to destroy the whole society and the family structure, we should turn away. So Arjuna is clearly retaining his reasoning capacity. Sure, there will be chaos afterwards. So that's why he says that we should stay back, we should turn away, because there will be a destruction in the family structure. Because if Duryodhana and his friends and his brothers, they are behaving as blind aggressors, the Pandavas should just retire quietly into the forest, accept the defeat. That's what he's offering over here to Krishna. But he's forgetting the active resistance to evil is the central idea in the doctrine which Lord Krishna is going to expound. So evil is being done by the Kauravas, and it's a duty of the Pandavas to stand against it. The evil was not only towards the Pandavas, definitely towards the Pandav brothers, but evil was being done towards the society also. And these are the caretakers of the society, the kings. But Lord Krishna is still quiet. So that's why Arjun just keeps on making more and more arguments. He says, Kulakshe parnashyanti, kul dharma sanatana, dharme nashte kulam kritsnam, adharma abhibhavati ut. Kulakshe, in the destruction of a family. Parnashyanti, perish. Kul dharma, the family tradition or the religious rights of that family. Kul dharma. Kul means a clan also, kul means a family also. Sanatana, ancient. Dharme, of spirituality. Nashte, on the destruction. Kulam, the family or clan. Kritsanam, entire, whole. Adharma, lawlessness, irreligion. Abhibhavati, overcomes. Ut means indeed. In the destruction of a family, the ancient religious rites of that family, the traditions, perish. On the destruction of the spirituality, the lawlessness indeed overcomes the whole family. All those arguments by themselves, they are all valid. Okay? So it's just like a storyteller keeps on adding more and more facts to the story. That's what Arjun is doing over here. He's just hoping that Krishna will agree with him with these strong arguments over here. Because a family is considered the unit of the society. Okay, the family structure is very, very important. If you want a good society, the family has to be good. So if the destruction in the family structure, that means there's a destruction in the societal structure. So he says, we need to maintain it. We are responsible for it. And families have the age-old traditions, time-honored customs. And according to those customs, the elders in the family pass on noble values and ideals to their next generation. These traditions help the family members to follow human values and religious traditions. He says this will all be gone with this war. Then he continues with verse number 41. Adharam abhibhavat krishan pradushyanti kul istriya istrishu dushtasu vashne jayate varna sankraha. Adharam abhibhavat, preponderance of irreligion. So that means there's so much lawlessness. Krishna, pradushyanti, immoral or corrupt. Kul istriya, the women of the family. You can see that all the men were fighting over there. Women were at home with the children. So many men get killed. What happened to the women then? So that's what he's talking about. Istrishu, in women, dushtasu, corrupt or immoral. Vashne, that is for Lord Krishna, the descendant of the Vrishni clan. Vashne. Jayate, arises. Varna sankraha, unwanted progeny. That's what it means. When the family structure breaks, the females in the family, at that time, they were not running the businesses, or they did not bring the household income. It was all dependent upon the men. What can women do? the lawlessness will be there. So he says, by the prevalence of lawlessness, O Krishna, the women of the family become corrupt. And women being corrupted or descendant of the Vrishni clan, there arises unwanted progeny. So he is continuing the arguments from the previous verses. And he is declaring the consequence that will follow when the true moral integrity of the family or the families is destroyed. Even though the Manu Samriti says, Yatra Narya tu pujyante vimante tatra devata. That is mentioned in our scriptures. Wherever women, they lead the chaste and virtuous lives. Because of their purity, they are worshipped by the rest of the society. But corruption can come at the same place. When the women become immoral, irresponsible, some people will take advantage of them. Then there will be indulgence in adultery and unwanted children will be born. So this is the argument he is giving, showing a pretty unhealthy cultural traits over here, which can become part of the society. Sankraha narkai ev kul ghananam kulasya ch patanti pitrahi esham lupt pind udak kriya. Sankraha, unwanted children. Narakai, hellish. Ev means also kul ghananam, of the slayers of the family, kulasya, of the family. Cha means and. Patanti, fall. Pitraha, the ancestors, the forefathers. He means verily a sham there. Lupta pind udak kriya. Pind is the rice balls. And udak means water. So these are the rituals which are like a sacrificial offerings we do for our ancestors. Pind and udak kriya. So he says they'll be gone, deprived of those offerings. So confusion of castes leads the slayer of the family to hell. For their forefathers fall, deprived of the offerings of the rice balls and the water, or the pind and water. So he is still continuing his arguments. He is pointing out the consequence of this war, or the confusion, or the admixture of the castes. People won't have a moral life, true discipline. There's nobody is there to teach them. It's a ruin of the society. See, this pind and udak, this is like a shrad. Most of you are familiar with. We offer our prayers, offer our respect to our ancestors. So when there's an increase in unwanted children, results in hellish life, both for the family and for those who destroy the family. So all these religious rites which keep the society together, families together, they'll be gone. Because otherwise generations after generations have taught us, be thankful to the ancestors, be thankful to these elemental forces, live a life of selflessness, not a selfishness. There's a higher power there. When nobody is there to teach, what will happen? People will become more greedy, more selfish. And he says, the family dharam, the kul dharam won't be there. Rules of the living, rules for thinking, rules for acting in union, which keep the families together, society together will be gone. दोष ही एते ही कुल घना नाम वर्ण संकर कारकै उत्साद्यन्ते जाति धर्मा कुल धर्मा च शाश्वता. Doshai, that's it. Evil deeds, dosh. Ete, by these. Kul ghana naam, of the family destroyers. Varna sankar karkai, unwanted progeny. Varna sankar. Kai means causing. Utasadhyante, are destroyed. Jati dharma, social and family welfare activities. Kul dharma, the family traditions. Cha means and, Shashwata, eternal. By these evil deeds of the destroyers of the family, which cause confusion of the castes, the eternal religious rights of the caste and the family are destroyed. Okay? There's definitely, after the war, there is a sudden cracking up of the existing values, especially war of this size. And this is what he's bringing it out. At the time when the war is about to start, or even has already started for all practical purposes. So, but in these words, we detect in Arjuna almost like sure, there is a conscientious objector to the war. He sees what war does, and this is what war does. Every war, no matter where, even these days, wherever there's a war, it would be a small war. In the family also, when there's a war and there's a divorce, what happens? There's a destruction. In the society also, between the nations also, between the communities also, sure there's a destruction. So that's why he is objecting it over here. Objecting. So we'll stop it over here, and I'm sure you have questions, and we'll finish up because still Lord Krishna is not saying a word. He's not saying the word. So I told you every week we learn something, what we study. So from these verses, sure, Krishna is making very strong arguments against the war. But what is the main point which we are taking home today? Be a better listener. Just like Lord Krishna is. Listener. Arjun is disturbed. Lord Krishna did not interrupt him right away. After first argument, no, you are wrong. He is letting him say what he wanted to say. In this entire chapter, Lord Krishna said only when he brought the chariot in the middle of these two armies. Just a half a sentence he spoke. Rest of the time he was fully listening. He did not ignore Arjun. He's very attentively listening to Arjun with a full confidence. That's why there's a smile on the face. He's not smiling at Arjun, but he is fully confident. Why are we here? What do we need to do? You think he didn't know that there will be a destruction afterwards? He was fully aware of it. That's why he tried to stop the war. But there was no stopping. Before the war started, he tried to stop it. He himself went to Kauravas in the palace, in the Hastinapur, taking a peace treaty. But Duryodhana wanted to kill him. He wanted to capture him. So he was fully aware of it. But at this point, what needs to be done, he knew it. And he just let Arjun speak his heart out. So we need to be good listeners too. as parents, as friends, sometimes as counselors. People come to us. Listen to them. Do not interrupt them. Pay attention. Give your 100% to them. This is what Lord Krishna did. Okay, so let's stop it here, and then you can ask questions, and then after that there will be bhajan by many today. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om.